Care to explain what this is, cousin? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh my God, look at her. I can't believe this is happening.
They said women support women until one friend decided to destroy another woman's dignity in front of hundreds. But what she didn't know was that the girl she mocked had already prepared a truth that would burn her entire wedding to the ground. Stay till the end, because what happened in that hall didn't just end a marriage, it exposed the kind of betrayal that makes you rethink every friend you've ever trusted. The needle pierced through fabric again and again, each stitch precise, each thread a small prayer. The small room smelled of cotton and old wood, walls decorated with fashion magazine cutouts and hand-drawn sketches. A single bulb swung overhead, casting shadows across piles of cloth. Chidinma, are you still sewing? It's past midnight. Just finishing this sleeve, cousin. Mrs. Adeyemi needs it by tomorrow. You work too hard. When will you rest? Rest doesn't build dreams. Every stitch is a naira closer to my own shop. The machine hummed its familiar song. Outside, Lagos breathed its restless breath, generators roaring, night traders calling, music bleeding from distant bars. But here, in this cramped corner of her cousin's apartment, there was only focus, only determination. The phone buzzed. A message lit up the screen. "Babe, are you awake? I need you desperately." She smiled slightly. Bella, always dramatic, always needing something. "What is it? Can I come over? Emergency." Within 20 minutes, the door burst open. Perfume flooded the room before she even entered. Expensive, suffocating. Bella swept in like a music video, all curves and confidence, designer bag swinging, heels clicking on the concrete floor. My darling seamstress, my lifesaver. They hugged, but Bella's embrace was brief, distracted, her eyes already scanning the room, taking inventory of the poverty she could later laugh about. "What's the emergency? You know that dress I showed you? The one from that boutique on Victoria Island? I finally got it. But babe, it's too tight around the waist and the hem is uneven. You have to fix it for me. When do you need it? Is tomorrow too soon?" A pause. Tomorrow. 16 hours. 2 other orders waiting. Sleep already a luxury she couldn't afford. Tomorrow is... Bella, I have... Please, babe. You're the only one I trust. These other tailors in Lagos? They'll spoil my dress. You have magic hands. That's why I call you my sister. Sister. The word hung in the air like a promise that would never be kept. Okay, bring it early. You're an angel. I don't know what I'd do without you. But she was already halfway out the door, her attention shifting to her phone, to someone more important, to a world where Chidinma was useful but never quite equal. The weeks that followed were a blur of fabric and flattery. Bella came often now, always needing something. A zipper replaced, a button moved, a tear mended. And each time she came, she stayed longer, talked more, revealed more of the life she was building. Obinna proposed. Can you believe it? A real diamond, babe. Not those fake ones girls are wearing. Congratulations. The wedding is in 3 months. Oh God, it's going to be massive. His family has money, serious money, like they own buildings in Ikoyi. Buildings? I'm happy for you. You'll be there, of course. My best friend has to be there. Best friend? Another word that felt hollow. The bridal shower was held at a rooftop lounge in Lekki. Chidinma arrived in her best outfit, a simple dress she'd sewn herself from Ankara fabric, modest but elegant. She'd spent hours on the embroidery, each pattern deliberate. The other women glittered like expensive jewelry. Their laughter was loud, their makeup flawless, their confidence weaponized. Chidinma found a seat near the back. "Ladies, let's take pictures." They posed. They pouted. They posted. Chidinma watched from her corner. "Wait, where's Chidinma? Come and join us." She stood, moved toward the group. But as she approached, Bella's voice dropped to a whisper, not quite low enough. "She's wearing Ankara? To my bridal shower? Ah, poverty is not a crime, but at least make an effort. The bridesmaids giggled, hands over mouths, eyes sliding toward her. Bella, that's harsh. I'm just saying. Look at how we're dressed, then look at that. She looks like she's going to a naming ceremony in the village. More laughter. Chidinma stopped walking. The music suddenly felt too loud, the lights too bright. Her chest tightened, but she forced her face to remain neutral. Come on, babe. Don't be shy. She smiled. She joined the photo. She stayed for another hour, sipping juice, nodding at conversations she wasn't part of. When she left, no one noticed. 3 days later, she went to Bella's apartment to deliver the altered dress. Bella wasn't home, but she'd left the door unlocked. Just drop it in my room. I'll try it later. The room was chaos, clothes everywhere, makeup scattered, suitcases half-packed. And there on the dresser, a small USB drive with Bella's handwriting on the label. Wedding planning. Private. She shouldn't have. But something, some instinct, some warning whisper, made her pick it up, made her plug it into her phone. The first file was a voice note. Bella's voice, drunk, laughing with someone else. You know what's funny? That girl Chidinma. She thinks we're friends. I mean, she's useful. She sews well. She's desperate to please. But friends? Please. She's too beneath me. I can't let people think we're on the same level. The phone nearly slipped from her hands. She sat on the edge of the bed, breath shallow. Next file. A video. Bella and 2 other women at a restaurant. Obina's mother? Oh my God. That woman is a village witch. She still cooks with firewood. Can you imagine? But I'll manage her. Once we're married, I'll ship her back to Anambra. I'm not dealing with that kind of backward energy in my Lagos life. Another voice note. The wedding is going to be perfect. And you know what? I'm going to make sure Chidinma is there. I want her to see what real success looks like. I want her to sit there and feel small. It's cruel, I know, but she needs to understand her place. Tears came silently. Not dramatic, just quiet grief for a friendship that never existed. She copied every file to her phone, every insult, every cruel plan, every lie. Then she placed the USB exactly where she'd found it, adjusted the angle, made sure nothing looked disturbed. She sent Bella a text. Dress is on your bed. It looks beautiful. You'll shine. The reply came instantly. You're the best. I owe you forever. Forever. Another empty word. That night she sat at her sewing machine, but her hands were still. Outside, Lagos screamed and sang, but inside she was silent, planning, thinking, deciding. She would go to the wedding. She would endure whatever humiliation Bella had planned. But she would also bring something with her, something that would change everything. Justice, she realized, doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it waits. The church was a cathedral of excess. White roses climbed the walls like expensive ivy. Crystal chandeliers hung from ceilings so high they could house angels. The guest list read like a Lagos society directory. Senators, oil executives, Instagram influencers. People whose net worth exceeded the GDP of small nations. Chidinma arrived early, wearing a simple blue dress she'd sewn the night before. Nothing flashy, nothing that would draw attention. She wanted to disappear into the background. But Bella had other plans. Where should this one sit? The usher glanced at her clipboard, then at Chidinma, then back at the clipboard with visible confusion. Your name? Chidinma. Ah, you're seated in the back. Row 15. Row 15, behind the vendors, behind people who weren't even invited properly. She could feel the intention. Bella had personally arranged this humiliation. She walked to her seat without protest. Around her, guests whispered and glittered. Cameras flashed. Important people shook hands with other important people. She was a shadow in a room full of light. The ceremony was beautiful. Bella descended the aisle like she owned heaven itself. her dress a masterpiece of French lace and delusion. The pastor spoke of love and commitment, words that felt like satire in this particular context. I do. I do. Lies exchanged for rings. The reception was even more lavish, a five-star hotel ballroom transformed into a wonderland. Ice sculptures, live band, a cake taller than most guests, money sprayed like rain. Chidinma found her assigned table, table 42, tucked in a corner near the service entrance. The other guests at her table were distant relatives who looked equally displaced. Is this your first society wedding? Yes. You can tell. They always put us regular people in the back. She smiled slightly, but her mind was elsewhere. In her purse, her phone sat heavy with its secret payload. Earlier, she'd slipped a duplicate USB to the DJ with specific instructions. Play this during cocktail hour. It's a surprise video for the bride. She asked me to give it to you. He'd nodded, distracted, used to such requests. Now she waited. The MC's voice boomed across the ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, before we bring in the couple for their first dance, the bride has requested a special moment. She wants to recognize all the people who helped make this day possible. Chidinma's stomach tightened. Can we have... Let me see the list. Can we have Chidinma come forward, please? Every head turned. A spotlight swung toward table 42, and suddenly she was illuminated, exposed, a butterfly pinned to display. Come on, don't be shy. She stood slowly. The walk to the front felt like miles. Her heels clicked on marble that probably cost more than her annual income. Bella stood at the microphone, radiant, cruel, performing generosity. Everyone, this is Chidinma, my childhood friend. She's a tailor. She helped fix my dress when I had a little emergency. Applause, polite and thin. Chidinma, show everyone your dress. Spin around. Let them see your work. It wasn't a request. It was a command dressed as playfulness. She turned slowly, feeling hundreds of eyes dissecting her outfit, calculating its worth, comparing it to the designer labels around the room. You see, Bella continued, her voice honey-sweet and poison-deep, this is what hard work looks like. And this is what happens when you're still building. Chidinma doesn't have much, but she has talent. Maybe someday, if she works really hard, she'll be able to afford the kind of things we wear. Laughter rippled through the crowd, uncomfortable, knowing, cruel. I always tell her, know your level. Don't rush the process. Right, babe? The microphone tilted toward her, waiting for her response, waiting for her to agree to her own degradation. Right. Her voice was barely a whisper, but the mic caught it and amplified it. Her compliance broadcast to 500 witnesses. Good. Go back to your seat. Enjoy the food. She walked back through the gauntlet of stares and smirks. Behind her, Bella's bridesmaids whispered, Did you see that dress? I can smell the poverty from here. She probably sewed it herself on a hand machine. Why would Bella even invite her? Entertainment, obviously. She reached table 42 and sat down. Her hands were shaking, but her face remained composed. Then, quietly, she pulled out her phone. She opened an app. She pressed a button. The message sent, Play now. She placed the phone face down on the table and waited. The lights dimmed for the couple's entrance. A romantic Afrobeat remix filled the ballroom. Smoke machines created clouds at the doorway. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time as a husband and wife, Mr. and Mrs. Obina. They entered like royalty. Bella had changed into her reception dress, even more elaborate than the wedding gown, covered in Swarovski crystals, a train that required 2 people to carry. Obina looked proud, wealthy, oblivious. The crowd roared, phones lifted, pictures snapped, videos rolled. They danced to their center marks, arms raised, accepting worship. Chidinma stood from table 42. Slowly, gracefully, she walked toward the dance floor. Security guards tensed, but she moved with such calm purpose that they hesitated. She walked directly toward Bella, her face serene, her smile gentle. Bella saw her coming and laughed, thinking this was another opportunity for humiliation. "Look, my tailor friend wants to congratulate me." Chidinma reached her and opened her arms for a hug. Bella embraced her quickly, already planning her next insult. But Chidinma held on a moment longer, her mouth close to Bella's ear, her voice so soft only the bride could hear. "Thank you for teaching me who you really are," Bella pulled back, confused. "What?" Chidinma stepped away and smiled, not with anger, but with something more dangerous. Peace. Then her hand moved, gentle as a butterfly, to the back of Bella's dress. She found the hidden zipper she'd sewn there months ago, a small compartment pocket designed to hold emergency items. And inside that pocket, still there from when Bella had stuffed it absent-mindedly during one of her visits, the USB. She unzipped the small opening. The USB fell into her palm. Gasps erupted. Guests leaned forward, confused. What was happening? Bella's eyes widened with dawning horror. "No! No, no, no!" Chidinma held up the USB for everyone to see, then pulled out her phone. She tapped the screen. The giant projector screens on either side of the ballroom, meant for displaying the couple's love story, flickered to life. And Bella's voice filled the room. "You know what's funny? That girl, Chidinma. She thinks we're friends. I mean, she's useful. She sews well. She's desperate to please. But friends? Please. She's too beneath me." The ballroom fell silent. 500 people frozen in collective shock. The video began. Bella at a restaurant, drunk, laughing with her bridesmaids. Obina's mother? Oh my God, that woman is a village witch. She still cooks with firewood? Can you imagine? But I'll manage her. Once we're married, I'll ship her back to Anambra. I'm not dealing with that kind of backward energy. Someone screamed. Obina's mother. She collapsed into her seat, held up by relatives. Obina's face transformed from confusion to rage. "What is this? What is this?" But the audio continued, relentless, exposing every lie. "I don't even love Obina that much, if I'm being honest, but his money, his connections, that I love. That I'll marry." The ballroom exploded. "Turn it off! Turn it off!" Bella was shrieking now, running towards the projector, but security held her back. "I'm going to make sure Chidinma is there. I want her to see what real success looks like. I want her to sit there and feel small. She needs to understand her place." Bridesmaids scattered like roaches when lights turn on. Guests grabbed their phones, recording everything. The video played on, each revelation more damning than the last. Obina ripped the microphone from the MC's hand. His voice shook with fury. "Is this true? Is any of this true?" Bella was sobbing now, mascara streaming down her face, her perfect makeup dissolving into chaos. "Baby, I can explain. I was drunk. I didn't mean—" "You called my mother a witch. You said you don't love me." "I do love you. I swear. Baby, please." He pulled the wedding ring from his finger and threw it at her feet. The gold bounced once on the marble, then rolled into the shadows. "This wedding is over." "Baby, no, please!" But he was already walking away, his groomsmen surrounding him, his mother being carried out by relatives, his father's face stone cold with disgust. The band had stopped playing. The MC had abandoned his post. Vendors were demanding immediate payment before the checks bounced. Guests were streaming toward the exits, phones out, already posting to Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Bella the Betrayer began trending within minutes. Bella collapsed onto the floor, her crystal dress spreading around her like shattered dreams. Her bridesmaids had vanished. Her parents stood frozen, humiliated before Lagos society. And Chidinma simply walked toward the exit. The crowd parted for her automatically. People stepped aside, creating a path, their faces showing something between shock and respect. She didn't run. She didn't gloat. She just walked, her head high, her simple blue dress more dignified than all the designer labels in the room. As she reached the door, someone started clapping. Then another. Then another. By the time she stepped outside, a quarter of the ballroom was applauding, not for Bella's downfall, but for the quiet courage of a woman who refused to be buried. The video went viral within hours. News blogs picked it up. Radio shows discussed it. Podcasts dissected it. Everyone had an opinion about the wedding that ended in exposure. But the narrative that emerged surprised everyone. It wasn't about Bella's fall. It was about Chidinma's grace. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just presented the truth. That's the kind of revenge I respect. Quiet, devastating, elegant. She gave her friend every opportunity to change. But sometimes you have to let people expose themselves. Within days, messages flooded Chidinma's phone. We're a fashion brand looking for authentic stories. Would you be interested in a collaboration? Our magazine wants to feature you in our Women of Strength issue. I run a textile company. We'd love to sponsor your tailoring business. She read each message carefully, still processing everything that had happened. Her cousin was thrilled. God has vindicated you. This is your season. But Chidinma felt something more complex than triumph. She felt tired. She felt sad. She felt relieved. Within 3 months, she'd opened her own shop in a small space in Yaba. Nothing fancy, but it was hers. The sign outside read Chidinma's Couture in bold letters. Inside, 3 sewing machines hummed constantly. Orders poured in, not because of the viral video, but because her work was exceptional. Women came to her shop and said, "I want something like you wore to that wedding. Something simple but powerful." She smiled and took their measurements. Simple is often the most powerful. 6 months after the wedding, her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Chidinma, it's me." She recognized the voice immediately. Bella. Smaller now. Broken. "What do you want?" "Can I see you? Please? Just for a few minutes?" They met at a quiet cafe in Surulere. Bella arrived looking nothing like the woman who'd once glittered with cruelty. Her hair was pulled back simply. No designer bag. No expensive perfume. Just a woman hollowed out by consequence. "Thank you for meeting me." Chidinma said nothing, just waited. "I know there's nothing I can say that will fix what I did. I was horrible to you. I was horrible to everyone. I thought treating people badly made me powerful. I thought stepping on others would lift me higher." Her voice cracked. "But all it did was leave me alone. Obina's family sued me for defamation. My friends disappeared. My parents barely speak to me. I had to move back to a 1-bedroom. I'm working as a receptionist now." "I'm sorry that happened. Are you? Really?" "Yes. I didn't want you destroyed. I just wanted the truth to be known." Bella's eyes filled with tears. "I came to ask if we could start over. If maybe, somehow, you could forgive me." Chidinma took a slow sip of her tea, gathering her thoughts. When she spoke, her voice was gentle but firm. "I forgive you. I do. Holding anger would only poison me, and I refuse to let you have that power anymore." Bella's face brightened with desperate hope. But the hope dimmed. "But forgiveness doesn't mean restoration. You showed me who you are. And when someone shows you that, it's wise to believe them. I can forgive you and still protect myself from you. Those two things aren't contradictory. So we can't be friends again?" "No, we can't. Because real friendship requires trust, and that's something you shattered beyond repair. I wish you well. I hope you learn from this and treat others better, but I won't allow you close enough to hurt me again." Bella nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. "I understand, and I'm really sorry for everything." "I know you are." They sat in silence for a moment, 2 women on opposite sides of a bridge that had burned. Finally, Bella stood. "Thank you for your time, and for your grace. You were always better than me." "I wasn't better. I was just kinder. There's a difference." Bella walked away, shoulders slumped, carrying the weight of lessons learned too late. Chidinma finished her tea, paid the bill, and stepped outside. Lagos was alive around her, chaotic, beautiful, full of possibility. She walked back to her shop, where fabric waited to be transformed, where dreams were stitched into reality. That evening, she stood in her small shop, lights dimmed, surrounded by the quiet hum of machines at rest. She thought about the journey, from humiliation to vindication, from shadow to spotlight, from victim to victor. But the real victory wasn't the viral video. It wasn't the brand deals or the magazine features. It wasn't even Bella's downfall. The real victory was this. She'd refused to let bitterness make her bitter. She'd refused to let cruelty make her cruel. She'd stood in the fire and emerged not burned, but refined. She pulled out her phone and typed a message to post on her business page. A reminder. Not everyone who stands beside you wants to see you rise. Choose your circle carefully. Protect your peace fiercely. And remember, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's elevation. Be wise about who you call friend. Because friendship isn't just about who celebrates your success. It's about who respects your struggle. Rise quietly. Succeed gracefully. Let your dignity speak louder than their insults ever could. She hit post and turned off the lights. Outside, Lagos continued its endless rhythm. But inside, in this small shop built on resilience and grace, there was peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing that no one could ever take her dignity again. Because dignity isn't given. It's not borrowed. It can't be stolen. It's chosen every single day. And she had chosen well. When they throw you to the wolves, return leading the pack. But lead with grace, not with bitterness. That's how queens are made. If this story shook you even a little, don't just scroll away. Join our storytelling family, a place where strength is celebrated, pain becomes power, and justice always finds its way home. Tap join to become part of our inner circle. Get early access, behind-the-scenes stories, shout-outs, and exclusive episodes you won't see anywhere else. And tell me in the comments, have you ever trusted someone who later showed you their true colors? What did you learn? Your comment might be featured in the next episode. Hit subscribe, join the family, and remember, when people try to tear you down, rise quietly because the loudest revenge is elevation.